I'm sorry that I'm not able to be here today, and I'm very excited you're in new hire training. I don't know how many of you are there, but my guess is there's more in that room than started with me in the organization. We started with 17 employees, so look around. There's probably more of you than there were when I started. I was asked to really come before you and tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm here and why I do what I do. And I had been on the board for about 3 years, and I actually came off the board and went to the executive director, said, I'm busy with my family, I'm busy with my business, and I just need to come off. And he said, Mark, will you just keep your name on? And I'm like, well, why? He goes, well, it'll send the wrong message to the staff. And I said, fine, but I'm not coming to any more board meetings. 3 years later, the board chairman came to me and said, Mark, can we have lunch? And I said, fine. His name was Gerald, and I don't like Gerald very much today, but that's okay. I hope he sees this someday. But Gerald came to me, we had lunch, and he goes, Mark, I want you to take over the organization. And I said, the answer is no. And I said, I have no interest, love my business. I was an estate planner, I had 2 offices. I was making a lot of money. I drove nice cars. It was a great deal. And he goes, Mark, I want you to take it over. And I said, well, first of all, the answer is no. And he goes, well, talk to your wife. I go, well, then the answer is hell no. And I go, what he didn't know is we were designing our dream home. And we're doing very, very well. And he goes, Mark, just talk to her. And I said, fine, but the answer's still no. And I went home that day. The kids are watching TV. She's making dinner. And I said, you wouldn't believe what Gerald asked me. And I'm laughing. And I told her, I said, he asked me if I'd take over the organization. She turned on a dime and looked at me and said, have you prayed about it? And I tell people, if you tell God you're willing to do anything, and your wife says, have you prayed about it, you're doomed. I am here because God called me to be here. What was interesting, though, is that week, a job that I'd been working 5 years to get was also offered to me. Tough decision. More money, stay in the profession I love, or go to this organization that is struggling. And so my wife and I made a decision that we were going to come up with 10 things that had needed to happen. And I'm going to be honest, I put 3 of them that could not happen. God didn't answer 9 of them, or 8 of them, or 7 of them. He answered all 10. And at that point, you have to make a decision. Are you willing to do whatever God's asked you to do? And my wife and I decided that we would come to this little organization, make 1/3 of the income that we made, and go to an organization that said, we'll pay you if it's there. It was quite an offer. No health insurance, no benefits, but we came because we really believed that God wanted us to be here. And the reason I tell you that story is that I hope that every one of you that comes here, that's sitting in this training, is called to be here. Because if you're not, it's probably not a good place. The other thing that I want to share with you is this, is that why I'm so passionate about what I do. I'm passionate because I know that God has called me here, but I'm passionate because I believe that we're about making a difference in children's and families' lives. What you are going to be doing in the next year or years from now is changing our country. Did you hear me? Changing our country. And I believe what you do in the families and in the group homes, whatever you're doing, if you do it for the right reason, God will bless you. But one of the things that I do is I journal. And I journal on a regular basis. And I have, when I came here to the organization, it was a struggle. The organization was one that was failing, was bankrupt, 17 employees, work with about 200 kids. And people say, why are you successful? And the reason we're successful is because of the first meeting with the board. The board said, should we be a Christian organization? And we made a decision at that point to be successful and to follow him, follow his leading. That's why we're successful. And people say, well, how successful? Well, I would say going from 17 employees to 500 employees, pretty amazing. To go from a budget of $600,000 to a budget of $25 million, pretty successful. To work with 200 kids, this year, my guess is we'll work with 30 or 40,000 individuals. Is that successful? I believe it's successful. So the reason I'm here is I'm called. I hope you're called. But let me be real honest with you. We are not just a faith-based organization in word only. There are some organizations out there that say we're faith. They have the word Christ in their name. One day I met with this Christian leader and I was talking to him. I was so excited because there's not a lot of us. And I said, how does Christ impact your organization? And I will never forget. He had the word Christ in his name of his organization. He looked at me and goes, well, we just couldn't hire the people to allow us to do that anymore. It really has no impact on what we do with kids and families. Now I want you to know, as long as I'm here, as long as the board approves for me to be the CEO, we will not be an organization, a Christian organization of word only. We are going to do it. But let me help you understand something as new staff. We're not going to shove our faith down anybody's throat. That's the worst thing we can do. But what I am asking you to do is to listen when we talk about discipleship. Listen to what we talk about evangelism. Listen when we talk about, forgiveness. Listen and evaluate. Do you have a personal relationship with Christ? Because you can only give what you have or what you possess. And if you don't, you can't give it. You can't fake it. None of us are that good. So I just want you to know, as a leader of this organization, faith is really, really important. It's not just something we put on our shirts or our hats. We want it to be something that our employees and the people we work with and the community, they see and they know. I'm really excited about you being here. Hopefully I'll get to see you in your offices around the state, around the country. But understand that we pray for you, and we're so thankful that you're here.